All right, y'all. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you're tuning in. I'm grateful to have you here. And supposedly, we got a woke grandpapa taking on Michael Knowles today. This is a few years old, but new to me, so I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. Let's get it popping.
I'd like to start off by noticing that as each speaker gets up here, this speaker then goes ahead and answers, and his supporters get to go ahead and applaud. I would like to start off by applauding the people that had the courage to stand up against this hate.
You're certainly welcome to applaud anybody you like. I take
with-
no responsibility for who applauds for what.
Well, you haven't given them space. That was my point. But I do have questions here. What I was saying is the structure here has been very specifically designed to go ahead and to support a particular point of view.
Could you give an example of that? Because here's what I think happens. People come up and ask me a question, and then I give them an answer, and then somebody else comes up and asks me a question, and then I give them a different answer. Could you please show me the nefarious and unfair structure of that Q&A?
I'll be happy to, because after their last comment, you get a chance to comment, and your supporters go ahead and applaud. When the speaker is then going ahead and when the person from the audience is talking, you immediately talk afterwards, and there's no space.
Yes, that's true, because they're asking me a question, because
Exactly.
I'm the speaker and they're the ones asking the questions.
Exactly.
Right. So I guess they can go give a speech somewhere else, and then their supporters can go and applaud them. But that's not what we're engaged in here.
So you do agree then that there was...
I agree that I'm giving a
it's
speech and
unprofessional.
people are asking me questions. I agree with that, yes. I didn't know that I had to clarify that.
So let me go ahead and, frankly, there's so much misinformation here, I don't even know where to start, but I will
Just give us
try.
one.
You talk about melting pots and assimilation. I don't know to what extent you cook in the kitchen and you don't cook. I have no idea.
Well, I'm of Italian descent, so I can work my way around a kitchen a little bit.
If that's the case, then you will know that a melting pot is not something that you take a pot, you put the first ingredient in, and you add other things, and you expect everything else to go ahead and take on the flavor of that first ingredient. Rather, a melting pot is a mixture of different ingredients, and some of those ingredients you want to blend in, and other ingredients you want them to maintain their character, and you don't want them to blend in very much, and you put them in a particular order. And you talk about
What? He just said the same thing backwards, kind of remixed. A melting pot is where a bunch of different things go together. They melt together, form together to make one body, to make one result. Like, what are you... What? Hold on, bring this back. My man is reaching. He's got the whole notepad trying to lay out all this misinformation, but I'm sure his version of misinformation is just something that he doesn't agree with. That doesn't make it false. That doesn't make it misinformed to the public. That just means you don't agree with it. Now lay out your reasons why in a civil, respectful manner, or get lost.
A melting pot is not something that you take a pot, you put the first ingredient in, and you add other things, and you expect everything else to go ahead and take on the flavor of that first ingredient. Rather, a melting pot is a mixture of different ingredients, and some of those ingredients you want to blend in, and other ingredients you want them to maintain their character, and you don't want them to blend in very much, and you put them in a particular order. And you talk about what makes America. There's plenty of things in this country that are a huge problem, and there's plenty of things in this country that are very good. One of the best things about this country is that as each culture comes in, we're able to go ahead and look at that culture and take on the best things from that culture. America is not a English-only culture. We have taken on from all different cultures, and it's the strength of this country that we have gone ahead and taken on. It's the strength of this country that you can't look at people and tell which ones are Americans and which ones are not.
That's what I said in my speech.
That's
literally what I said in my speech.
What you said is you expect them to assimilate.
Right, I expect assimilation, and I
did.
said it's a beautiful thing in this country that you can't look at someone and tell who's the American and who isn't. I said the exact same line that you just said.
But you seem to imply that when people come in...
Well, you know what they say happens when you assume.
You make a what out of yourself?
Yeah, is there a question or is this a speech?
Yes, there is.
What's the question?
Okay, so the question is do you realize
He said, is this a question or a speech? You got to love Michael Knowles. Bring this back, man. It's supposed to be a Q&A, dialogue back and forth. I lay out my piece. You ask Michael Knowles his piece. You're all there to see him, and you clearly value his logic, his way of thinking, his stance on whatever the issue is, or you don't. You're just there to whine, cry, virtue signal, be a liberal. You want to hear Michael's way of thinking. That's why you're there attending this Young America's Foundation conference right here. What is going on, my man?
Yeah, is there a question or is this a speech?
Yes, there is.
What's the question?
Okay, so the question is do you realize that 100 years ago, you mentioned
I wasn't there.
Previously, people have come in and then they immediately assimilate. 100 years ago, there were areas in New York City where you couldn't function if you couldn't speak Yiddish, if you couldn't speak German, if you couldn't speak a Slavic language. 130 years ago in Kansas, in a very large area in Kansas, German was such a predominant language that the Native Americans assumed that the language in this country was German, not English.
That would be a true tragedy.
We've never had a situation where people come in and they immediately start speaking.
But I never claimed that people immediately assimilate. I never claimed that in my speech. I think you're making fine points. They're just not points that in any way contradict what I've been saying this afternoon.
I'd like to ask just one more question, then I'll leave.
Have you asked one?
In the past, when Young Americans have had speakers here, you mentioned that each person gets one question, and you've been very accommodating about letting many of us have a conversation. But in the past, there's never been that kind of a statement, and I'm just wondering why there would be a statement here. It sounds like you're afraid of having a conversation, though I will admit that you have been carrying on a conversation. And I just want, in closing, I just want to say that what's really important is that we embrace other ideas and other cultures, not that we assume or force people to go ahead and take on what's already there.
Well, I appreciate your comments. I would like to point out that it seems you have criticized me for saying things I didn't say. I agree with many of the points that you've made, and then you're criticizing other speakers who have spoken for Young Americans Foundation instead of me. So I'm pleased that you had a nice time at the lecture. I agree with many of your points, and I love the open exchange of ideas.
His head is exploding right now.
I don't think you heard me.
I heard you, sir.
You ran it for 5 minutes. I think we all heard you, my man. How do you say that Michael doesn't want to have a conversation, but you're the one ranting on for 5 minutes? So where's Michael going to get a word in? You're bashing him based on things that he said or didn't say, bashing the audience because they agreed with Michael because they're his supporter, or he just made a good point. Why can't people applaud at a Q&A? Like if he makes a valid point or just something that they agree with and it lines up with their ways of thinking, their beliefs, whatever it may be, why can't you applaud? Somebody would applaud you if you made a valid point, but you didn't. Y'all, this is a prime example of age doesn't always mean wisdom. A lot of the times throughout the years, you pick up knowledge, you gather experience, you look at all sides of the spectrum, melting pot, whatever it may be, and you form a logical opinion based on the things that you've seen and experienced throughout your life. But this right here, my man did not age like fine wine. He aged like sour grapes, and you can't fix stupid. You just can't. And believe me, I'm going to pray for this gentleman. I pray for you as well as we all should be praying for each other. You got to love those who persecute you. You got to love your neighbor as yourself. But you can clearly see that this man is not a well-intentioned soul. So you got to call it like it is. It says so in John 7, verse 24, do not judge according to appearance, but judge with right judgment. We're spot on. In my opinion, this was a Q&A. He was trying to be combative. He wasn't trying to be slow to speak, quick to listen. On the contrary, he was trying to overtalk, trying to give this speech, not there to gather any other opinion. He listened to Michael. He only listened to it in a way to where it was contradicting, though. He listened to it in a way to where he was trying to be facetious and twist Michael's words into a way to where it would be perceived as a harmful thing, as a bad thing. But Michael, he doesn't buy that. He doesn't buy that at all. And I love how he stands firm. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. They claim all this crazy stuff, this woke stuff, but when they actually get their chance and their platform to speak and lay out their concerns, lay out their problems that they have with whatever it is, they bomb it. They literally blow it out of proportion into some sort of next level stratosphere that makes no sense. Maybe I'm crazy, but y'all could tell me something different down in the comments if you agree with this older gentleman or if you agree with Michael Knowles. I would love to hear your ways of thinking. I'm sure if you're watching this, you brought some common sense to the table, or I prayed that you did. But either way, you can rant all you want to down below. Keyboard thug, hate, love, do what you got to do. My comment section is always open. Don't forget to bang that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're not already, hit that notification bell for sure so you can stay up to date and notified anytime I post a video. If you got some value or laughs or some sort of entertainment from this, share this video, put this out in the public, allow other people to make up their own mind and think for themselves and decide which of these points of views makes the most sense, or maybe none at all. But either way, definitely share this video. If you want to support the channel, you can always get awesome designs like this. He is the Way one, made by my lovely wife on her Etsy store. She's got a bunch of different other ones, petite sizes to big, all different options and colors, bleach, no bleach. We got anything you need over there. You can find that down below in the description section. You can also donate on PayPal, buy me a coffee, join the Patreon fam. You don't got to do any of that stuff at all. You can keep on scrolling if you want to, but either way, I'm still going to pray for you. I ask you to do the same for me and mine. I'm going to pray for this gentleman, Michael Knowles, and this entire world, that they find the only way, the Jesus Christ. He is the way, the truth, and the life, and he's the only way we're ever going to get eternal peace and salvation. So if you haven't accepted Christ as Lord and Savior, got baptized in his name, what are you waiting for? It's time. Like, all this stuff is falling by the wayside. You can't strap any of this stuff to a hearse and take it with you. We're on this side of the grass one time. So you better make sure you do it right. Better make sure you put all your eggs in the right basket, because this right here, this ain't gonna do it. Arguing over he said, she said, bringing people across the border, not bringing people across the border, the good, the bad that people bring with them. I'm telling you, man, all that stuff is irrelevant if you haven't accepted Jesus as Lord. But until next time, I love y'all. I'm praying for you. Godspeed. I'm gone.